getting used to
I'm
doing
usually
this.
I'm gonna wait just a little bit just
Yeah.
to see
Yep.
that it did kick you on Facebook, but it should be
Right.
grabbing everything now. Let's make sure the volume's catching too. It's weird. Looks like we got the audio but not the video. All right. Hi, Gail. Hello, everybody else. All right, looks like we are up and running and it is working. If anybody is watching, did want to apologize for the audio issues last night, first worker meeting. Chose not to interrupt the meeting to reboot the system, so it was a great meeting inside the room, in here in the building. And again, we apologize for the technical difficulties last night. So. Obviously, I'm not Todd Crandall, just as Joe stated last night for our meeting on Thursday, but filling in for Todd today, here with an awesome gentleman, Mr. Rick Kersey. Welcome.
Hi, thank you.
We're very happy to have you here and share your story and your journey in the time that you've been involved in recent recovery and even before that as well. So, again, thank you for coming in, taking time out of your busy schedule. Want to start off by giving you the opportunity just to give a little bit of background, because I know obviously there's some people that you're a pretty, actually quite a mainstay on Thursdays here, but I know we get a lot of people that aren't, that don't come on Thursday, so they may be here, you know, Friday morning at 8 or any one of the other meetings throughout the week, and I always like to help people hear a little bit more and know a little bit more about each person that's involved in race recovery, so
Sure.
let me give you that opportunity.
Okay. Yeah, my son Jacob, we lost him July 28th of 2016, and after a long ordeal, you know, from starting around junior high and, you know, going over the years up and down, back and forth, dealing with addiction, and he had, as many people know, he had he had been to several different stints in rehab locally, and then was out at Glen Bay and then a sober living community out in that area for 6 months' time. And he came home, and we were really afraid, you know, for him to come home. And as we hear, you know, so many times, the night that he got back into town, he ended up dying that night. So,
Wow.
but I had heard of Racing for Recovery short time before he went off, you know, for rehab, and we actually attended a Sunday out at Wildwood at one point in time, and you know, we both liked the people that we met out there at that time, and unfortunately with him, he was working shift work at Jeep, and also in the time that he went away, you know, so we weren't able to get him, you know, in here and get him integrated into the program, which unfortunately, you know, for us. But after we lost him, Rachel that works here is a friend of my stepdaughter, and she reached out to the family, and we thought we would come and check it out. I mean, even not even knowing us, she told us that, you know, they were going to put his name on the back of the shirts at the October race, and, you know, some cool things like that. And we came out, and it happened to be the first meeting in this building.
That's right.
And we came home that night. You know, it was a very good meeting, as they all are, I found. And, you know, we said, what next? We didn't know what to do. It's like, we've lost him, and there's, nothing that we can do to change that, but we had decided that to promote his memory and to do, we had found out from people that were with him in rehab out there that he was very helpful to a lot of other people and trying to give them strength, and we thought, we would kind of do something that he would want to do and get involved here. And my words were, let's go on a journey and see where it takes us. And it has been nothing but awesome since then. We've met so many wonderful people, and I've learned so much. I was at such a disadvantage whenever, I tried to go through this with Jake because I knew nothing about it. And didn't know the resources out there, didn't know what programs were in place. And now, knowing now what I do, then, oh my God, I wish I could have gotten him in these doors. That's the biggest tragedy to us. But I mean, we've met so many wonderful people, and they've left a mark on us, and we hope that we leave a little mark, to try to help, folks along too. So it's, it's been really good.
Absolutely. I think to like Thursday nights, and there's just like this crew of awesome parents that come in here, and I know you guys are giving tremendous hope to so many other people out there, and it's awesome to see the positivity, the support, the community that you guys have helped to develop within Racing for Recovery, and it's like I mentioned, it's helping a lot of people, and we're thrilled you guys are part of it. We wish we could have gotten to know Jacob and be able to hang out with him here. And tell me a little bit more about him.
He was a great kid. I mean, I through my years growing up, I was into sports and cars, and through his youth, that's what we did too. The Pee Wee football, and I had a drag car, the drag racing and stuff, and he was my right hand. And it was just wonderful growing up. He was very mischievous. He had that in him from the get-go, and I have 3 daughters as well. I did the best I could for them childhood-wise. Is what happens with a lot of families and kind of leads to a lot of these things. There was a divorce whenever they were young. It was kind of a sudden thing. Their mom had some, mental issues of her own, and did one of these things where, people embezzle from their employer and stuff like that. And so it kind of like quickly crashed everything.
Wow.
And my youngest girl hadn't even started kindergarten yet, and I became a single dad, raising 3 at home with me at the time. And we stuck together. That I had to cover a lot of territory going up the UP in Michigan and all of Indiana and Ohio and stuff. And I would bust my butt to get home every night. And we had a great neighbor that helped out, watching them, and tried to make the childhood, as normal as I could, through that. It affected them all in different ways. But as he got on to junior high, then he was in sports there, and that was kind of where the troubles first began. Just, whenever kids get a little bit of freedom, you get to go to another kid's house and spend the night or whatever, and you think it's okay, it's somebody on the team and all that. And, I didn't know it at the time, but they had gotten into a relative's painkillers. And that kind of became the start of that. And throughout junior high and high school, he had experimented with a lot of different things, and I didn't know about it. We got some of his writings after he passed, and he, kind of explained some of the things, which it was kind of a blessing because it let us know what we didn't know a little bit, and some of the whys. But it's so tragic. It's very hard as a family, to keep going and try to support everybody, but. My other kids are awesome, and all the surrounding family is, we've all stuck together. We have a good close-knit family, which has been a godsend for us.
2 things I heard. First of all, I give you a lot of credit raising 3 kids on your own. My wife started working again, and I just like leaving here early to get them off the bus and dinner that. Yeah. So I give you a ton of credit, because that can be exhausting. You know, yeah. Obviously I give my wife a lot of credit for everything she's been doing during the time that I've been working her away. But it's you mentioned something in there about being somewhere else, and they got into some painkillers, and in my mind it triggered, that, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that have had an injury, and maybe they didn't go down the path that some of us have in using all of those, and then looking for more, right. And they leave them around, and maybe they had a hip surgery, and maybe they used a little bit of it, but the pain wasn't as bad as they thought, and there they sat in the medicine cabinet.
Right.
That proper disposal of those medications is such a huge thing. You do see a lot of different programs in different communities now that really talk about that, and it's very important, because it's just putting that opportunity out there for somebody to be curious to try it if you're not getting rid of them. Right. And obviously to keep them locked up, even if you do need them, through an actual prescription that somebody's utilizing, because it can lead to a lot of things down the road.
Right.
That's important.
Yeah, and we had that, happen in the house, and and your thought is, oh no, that couldn't happen. I must have just miscounted or misjudged, and that, and then you find out later, that was something that had happened. So you can't emphasize strongly enough to keep that stuff locked up, and if you don't need it, turn it in or get rid of it somehow.
Absolutely. You've been very active and involved in racing recovery from everything I can think of, from all the Glass City Marathon or 5K, 10K. You're always out there busting your butt, helping out. We greatly appreciate that, and we kind of have, like I mentioned, the parents group here, but we got this solid crew of guys and gals that are there to volunteer and help out, and we love it, because that it helps us help so many more people, and it's just, we truly appreciate all that you do to help give back to racing recovery too. And it's
thank you.
Heard you on the radio over the weekend. I think, was it last weekend or the weekend before?
Last weekend.
Last weekend. You did incredible on there. That was
was
neat to hear you. And I'm like, man, he sounds like he's been working here and part of this for 10 years. It's greatly appreciated. And I talk a little bit more for maybe, because I know, like last week, actually it was a couple weeks ago, we had a young woman on here, and I think it was Jessica Tuttle, right. And there was another person watching, and the person that was watching said, this is exactly what I needed to hear today. I'm a single mother. I'm battling my own addictions. What would you say, or can you share that, for somebody that may be watching for the first time, that maybe their child is in the midst of this right now, or they're contemplating that they have a curiosity that they might be involved in something with drugs or alcohol, or even the parent that has recently lost a loved one as well? What would you kind of tell or say to them?
I can't emphasize enough. You have to be inside this building. That's the only disadvantage of the simulcast, is you may not get some of the feeling and the vibe of the magic that goes on in this room. Right. I mean, there's so much love and understanding and judgment-free caring that goes on in this building. And I've said so many times to other people that, we start meeting through here, when they were coming in on the first time, I'm like, something magical happens in this room every week, either before the meeting, during the meeting, or after the meeting. We mingle and talk, and, a new person comes in, and, you're compelled to come over and introduce yourself after the meeting, whether it's a mom with a junior high school student or early high school student, or older gentlemen. I mean, we have people of all different ages, come in here, all different economic, social backgrounds. But just getting in here and getting involved is such a key step. And I see so many kids that, they'll make new friends in here, and they're people that are on the right path, and they're all going in the same direction. And one of the hardest things my son had was to turn his back on some of those friends that he knew, since grade school. And, even I don't blame anybody else for any of the things that he did, but they weren't good together, you know.
Yep.
And sometimes it's hard to turn and, you know, and start over and find new, but it means your life, you know.
Absolutely.
And I've always been a family person, and that's, you know, above and beyond the thing that's the most important too, you know. Your parents and your siblings and grandparents, you know, being there for them. You want to live for them. God only knows what it does when you lose somebody, and I think if more people understood what they leave behind when they do go, then oh my God, you know, you wouldn't, you know, think twice about, you know, getting in here and trying to get help and, you know, take this journey.
That you mentioned something in there, and we see that a lot with kids or anybody that are coming through here, you know, whether they're 20 years old or 50 years old, doesn't matter, is that building those relationships, and whether we're talking a boyfriend, girlfriend, or just friend of the same sex, whatever it may be, that a lot of times they come in together, but they're not on the same path.
Yeah.
And that can be very difficult because, like you said, some people have difficulty being, we'll call it selfish for them in their early recovery, and that's what they need to be. Now, I get it because a lot of people get fulfillment and value and validation by helping others,
Right.
But they got to be able to help themselves first.
Yeah.
And that's, most alcoholics, addicts are very caring people, and they want others to do well, but it's that very difficult thing that we see of people, like you mentioned, him not turning his back on people, and maybe he should have at the time to focus on himself, and it's hard because you don't want it to end in a bad way. But again, it's because they're loving, caring people, and
Right.
wanting the best for everyone.
Yeah, I've learned so much from being in here, and other parents that are in here too. You know, there are parents that are in here way beyond their kids doing okay,
Right.
and there are parents way beyond losing their kids. But just the knowledge that you gain helps you better to deal with these things. Some folks have applied what they've learned in here to get their loved one to come on in, you know. So it's an ongoing thing, but it's the chemistry and the dynamic of this place, of all the different you know, levels of involvement are just outstanding.
It's you know, I think, like I mentioned, the parents that come in here, and it's almost like they're parents to everybody, and it's something that's very I guess contagious, and seeing how, you know, whether it's Ron and Sandy, been coming for probably 15 plus years, or somebody that maybe is coming and their child's doing well, or then, you know, they go away for a little bit because things are good, but they come back and it's like they missed it, you know, they missed being a part of it. And that's something that I hope never changes, is that the people that are receiving some fulfillment out of it and seeing improvement in their lives, that they continue to do it, because that's, I know I've always been, you know, if we don't see somebody for a little while, we get worried about it, concerned about it, you miss them, because you start to care about everybody that comes in the room. You mentioned earlier, you know, being non-judgmental, and it's probably the most judgment-free thing that I've ever been a part of is this group, and it's awesome.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, somebody goes on and talks a little bit long or whatever.
Like I do.
You don't know. You don't see people tapping their toe, or you know, people listen, and you know, they're fair and open-minded, and they want to hear what others have to say. So yeah, it really is something special.
Absolutely. And I think about you, the Bergens, Randy Badares, people that continually come in here. You guys are giving so much hope and education to so many people, and we truly appreciate every time you come in here, and obviously when you guys speak, that's having a huge impact on others. So we definitely appreciate it.
That was my biggest thing coming in. It was like, my hope and dream was like, if somehow, some way, in my little way, you know, can have an effect that helps one person, you know, make a good decision and, and be there for their parents the next day. And we've heard similar things a couple times from some folks in here, and that is very rewarding, and it kind of tempers a little bit of the hurt whenever something like that, because I know Jake would be proud watching.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely. And I believe you got to speak at a school, right?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
How was that?
That was awesome. The teacher reached out to us, and she was that one teacher. Throughout school, a lot of times you have that one teacher that is a difference maker.
Yep.
And Jake was a good student without trying too hard through most of his school years, and then he struggled like at the end of high school. He didn't want to be there, plus he was doing more experimentation and stuff. And in his DECA class, and that was the one thing that he really liked, and
awesome.
thought it was pretty cool. And that teacher, she took an interest in him and helped him, and he almost didn't graduate. He was like missing just a little bit, and she gave him extra credit work and kind of pushed him and got him to where he could get his diploma. And that teacher reached out to us and said that some kids in her class heard about Jake, and they decided to do their senior project for the year on heroin abuse. And the kids, through her, they reached out to us, and they asked us if we would come and speak to the class, and we said we would love to. And this was still pretty just a few months afterwards. And Pam came in with me, and we spoke to the class, and it was very moving. I did a little research beforehand, and it was, the statistics were eye-opening, and it's even worse since then. The one thing I told him was like, we're losing more people than we lost in the Vietnam War.
That's
and every city is losing that. So that's it was very rewarding to me, and I still would like to someday speak to some Pee Wee football teams and junior high football teams, and tell them a little bit about Jake. And,
absolutely.
That's something that means a lot to me, because I think that's a crucial point in trying to get through. I see Todd's gone to some high schools now, and it's like, man, that is right in the zone where you can really do a lot of good.
Absolutely.
And it's a lot easier to recover if you never get started in the first place.
Absolutely.
So,
that's the most important part of our mission in race recovery is preventing drug and alcohol abuse, and that's something that obviously we take very seriously, and we love to never see people come through here for treatment in the first place. Just keep it away. It's from that standpoint, that's what we always try to do. From whether we will make a donation to a youth baseball team or youth lacrosse team or whatever, we try to keep putting that out there for kids that are involved in the activities, and whether it's art, music, or sports, that just trying to keep that in the forefront of their mind and what kids are doing, and it helps.
Right.
So, anything else that you wanted to add before we wrap up? It's like I said, it's a privilege to have you a part of Race for Recovery, and you've made such an impact on so many people in honor of Jacob, and it's awesome.
Well, it's my honor to have met you and Todd and Rachel and Dan and all the fine people that are involved here. I love every bit of involvement that I've had. Helping out at the races and stuff like that. The 10K in October. It's like it's kind of a homecoming, because I see people that have been through the program and are doing well, and I get to see them come back in again, and
absolutely, it's fun.
Yeah, it's very neat. But I've enjoyed every bit of it, and I hope to be able to help for many years to come. So
awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rick. Glad to have you on here today.